Endeavor to be inclined always, not to the easiest, but to the most difficult, not to the most delightful, but to the most distasteful, not to the highest and most precious, but to the lowest and most despised, not to wanting something, but to wanting nothing. This was the advice of the great mystic of the church, St. John of the Cross, for those who wish to adopt the path that Jesus taught in today's gospel, to take up one's cross and to follow in the footsteps of Christ. It's clear that John of the Cross does not hide from the fact that the path of Jesus is a difficult one, and nor should we. In fact, John even describes this path as a dark night, because it is ultimately a journey of faith, in which we have to renounce many earthly attractions in order to prefer Christ above all, as he commanded in today's gospel. Like John, we also know that our life as Christians is filled with many difficulties and challenges. Our crosses are often a result of our human weaknesses or our inability to freely let go of those things that steal our attention, imprison us, and inhibit us from experiencing true happiness with God. And hence, we see the horrors of the cross, and we don't want to face them. Yet, Jesus tells us that the cross is also the way to salvation. To be able to deal with what is most difficult, what is most distasteful, what is most despised, and to want nothing, as John of the Cross advises, is certainly a true cross for all of us. But it is also the means to be free to enjoy a higher delight in God. In fact, this is a path that has been laid out for us when we were baptized into Christ. St. Paul reminds us of this in today's second reading. He says that when we were baptized into Christ, we were baptized into his death. We went into the tomb with him in his death. Therefore, our baptism is a union with Christ to die to the things that impede us from enjoying real happiness with him. As St. Paul says, we are joined to Christ in his death so that, as he was raised from the dead, we too may have new life as well. So the purpose of the cross is not to suffer suffering for its own sake or without any reason, but for the greater glory which laid ahead. And this is what we should also remind ourselves as we seek to follow the words of Jesus in today's gospel. The point of carrying the cross is not a rejection of the things of this world because we regard them as bad in themselves, but the idea is to give all these things their proper place beneath God. So the message of Jesus in today's gospel is that one must not prefer anyone or anything else to God. Now, this is indeed a very difficult message, but one that ultimately leads us to true happiness. Now, in carrying this task, though, we are not left to do it without any assistance either. The nature of carrying our cross is that as Christians, we do not have to carry it on our own. First of all, Jesus himself carries his cross beside us. And secondly, all the members of the body of Christ, the church, carry their crosses beside us as well. And hence, we can also assist each other through Christian charity and reciprocal hospitality. This is a part of following Christ, to be of service to others like Christ himself. That's why Jesus promises in today's gospel that those who provide assistance to his disciples will be rewarded for their service, since this service is also an action of carrying the cross in denying oneself for the good of others. We saw an example of this form of service in the Shunammite woman in today's first reading. By spending time and effort in offering hospitality to the prophet Elisha, this woman effectively helped him to carry his cross. And as a result, she was blessed with a son, which was a momentous gift for her and her family. What this shows us is that while the following of Jesus is an arduous path, a dark night, as St. John of the Cross reminds us, it is not without help, nor do we have to do it on our own. Indeed, Jesus even says in today's Gospel that anyone who loses his life for the sake of Christ will find it. That is, in a difficult path in which the Christian is asked to renounce worldly things, to carry his cross after Christ, one will actually receive not only assistance in greater abundance, but will also gain the fulfillment of life, which is precisely why we went out to take up the cross in the first place, because we were searching for our ultimate happiness and fulfillment. So today, let us renew our efforts to follow Christ's footsteps closely, even with our heavy cross, knowing that this difficult path is not without assistance, and that its end will be well worth the effort, because the end is the fulfillment of the desire for happiness that lies deep within all of our hearts.